It's 6:45 a.m. in a quiet Florida suburb. Margaret Henderson, 72 years old, is sitting on the edge of her bed, staring at her thighs. She isn't admiring them, she isn't even criticizing them, she is just staring. And then she whispers a question that will change the rest of her life. Does a phone call from my son lift me out of this bed? Let that sink in for a moment, because today I'm going to tell you how Margaret got to this moment of total realization, and more importantly, how she fought her way out of it. If you've ever felt like you're becoming invisible in your own family, or if you're worried that your best days are behind you, this story is your wake-up call. Last Tuesday started like any other morning. Margaret woke up in the guest bedroom of her son David's house, where she'd been living for 2 years. She did what she'd done every morning for 7 decades. She tried to stand up, except this time her legs didn't cooperate. When she shifted her weight forward, her thighs felt hollow, like paper tubes. It was as if her muscles had been replaced overnight with something that looked like legs, but didn't actually work like legs. She collapsed back onto the mattress, her heart hammering against her ribs. For 20 agonizing minutes, Margaret lay there, debating whether to call out for help. The shame burned hotter than the Florida sun pouring through her window. Finally, she gripped the nightstand with both hands and hauled herself up using pure arm strength, shuffling to the bathroom like a furniture-hopping zombie. That's when the cold truth hit her. Her freedom was coming to an end. She remembered reading that for every 10% decrease in muscle mass after age 70, your chances of losing independence triple. She squeezed her thigh. It felt like bread dough. And that's when she whispered that question, does a phone call from my kids lift me to the bathroom? The answer was a terrifying no. Only her muscles could do that, and she had let them waste away. Here's what nobody tells you about moving in with your adult children. You become invisible. Not because they're mean, not on purpose, but slowly, like a photograph fading in the sun. Margaret called herself a transparent human. She existed in the narrow space between the living room sofa and her guest bedroom, careful not to disrupt the real life happening around her. David meant well. His wife Linda was perfectly polite, but Margaret felt like a piece of furniture, acknowledged when bumped into but otherwise ignored. Her golden years weren't full of shared stories. They were full of the TV on low volume and Linda's tight smile when Margaret used the good coffee mugs by mistake. The breaking point came at 3 a.m. Margaret needed toilet paper. Simple, right? But she was too embarrassed to ask, so she waited until the house was asleep to search the hall closet. Halfway there, her knees buckled. She went down hard. Her hips smacked the floor with a sound like a gunshot in the silent house. She lay there in the dark, her cheek against the cold wood, waiting for someone to notice, waiting for someone to care. No one came. 20 minutes later, she dragged herself back to bed, bruised in spirit. She realized she had handed her entire life over to other people's busy schedules. She was done being a passenger. The next day, a doctor named Dr. Chen gave her a diagnosis, sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. Mrs. Henderson, the doctor said, at this rate, you'll need a walker within a year. Unless you do something about it. The prescription wasn't a pill. It was 15 minutes of walking. Every single day. Don't underestimate it, Dr. Chen warned. Those 15 minutes aren't about fitness or vanity. They're about your dignity. Your leg muscles are more reliable than any phone call from your children. Something ignited in Margaret, determination. She started the next morning at 7 a.m. That first walk was humiliating. She made it 1 block before her breath came. in gasps, and her knees creaked like rusty hinges. She wanted to dissolve into the sidewalk when a neighbor jogged past. But she didn't stop. Day 2, 1.5 blocks. Week 2, the entire neighborhood. As her thighs firmed up, her power returned. The power of moving through space without permission. Her legs became her first friend, the foundation of her new life. Then came the money talk. One Sunday, David suggested consolidating her accounts for her safety. Margaret's fork stopped midair. She had already made this mistake once, giving David a joint account for convenience. But the moment she handed over the money, she handed over her mind. Even buying a $12 book felt like an extravagance she had to justify to an invisible jury. This time, she said no. David was shocked. "Mom, don't you trust me?" Margaret's voice was like steel. "I trust you, but I need to trust myself more. True wealth isn't the balance in the bank, it's the autonomy to decide how to spend my next $10. She opened her own account. She struggled with the passwords. She locked herself out 3 times, but she didn't quit. When she finally bought a $4.50 latte and a scone with her own debit card, she cried with joy. She was the captain of her ship again. To stop being transparent, Margaret built what she called her iron routine. 7 a.m. tea, 7:30 a.m. the walk, 8 a.m. breakfast. She chose herself. Her time became sacred. It was her armor of self-respect, but the hardest part was the emotional bitterness. She felt betrayed that her kids weren't there for her the way she imagined. Her friend Gloria taught her a trick, the paper boat. "Let the bitterness float away like a paper boat on a river," Gloria said. When David forgot her doctor's appointment, paper boat. When the grandkids rushed past without saying hello, paper boat. She refused to hand the remote control of her happiness to people who didn't even know they were holding it. She started painting again, sunrises, tropical birds. She wasn't just David's mom anymore. She was Margaret the painter. 6 months after her fall, Margaret made her boldest move. She found a small 1-bedroom apartment in a senior community. "I'm moving out," she told a pale-faced David. "I need to be the conductor of my own life, not a passenger in yours." Today, Margaret is 74. Her apartment is 700 square feet of pure freedom. She has her routine, her money, and her art. When David visits now, they actually talk. He doesn't see a burden. He sees a woman who stands on her own 2 legs. One morning, Margaret saw another woman, Barbara, crying in a coffee shop because she felt invisible to her children. Margaret sat down and squeezed her hand. "I understand," she said, "but your freedom starts with your own legs. Go home. Walk for 15 minutes. Not for them, for you." Margaret learned that old age isn't about being remembered by others. It's about strengthening your own inner pillars until you find peace. So, I have to ask you, which of your 5 pillars needs repair? Is it your strength, your money, your routine, your emotions, or your identity? Your dignified life begins the moment you decide to help yourself. Flex your knees right now. Feel that muscle. That is your freedom. The conductor's baton is in your hand. It always was. You just forgot you were holding it. I'm the senior health storyteller. If Margaret's story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, start walking tomorrow.